Welcome everybody from wherever you're joining us across the country today to our third presentation as part of our Seeker Research Lunchtime Snapshot series. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it, at lunchtime? Just before we start today, I'd just like to make an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, the Career Industry Council of Australia would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. I'd like to acknowledge that I'm hosting this session on the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples participating in the session with us today. I'd now like to hand over to Seeker's Research Advisor, Dr. Elizabeth Knight, who's going to chair the session for us today. Thanks, Lizzie.
Thanks, David, and what a delight it is to be here in the middle of National Careers Week with another wonderful snapshot. And we've got the fantastic Dr. Jennifer Luke talking to us and helping us think through some of the issues about contextualising career development support in a really important and novel way, talking about regional and rural Australia. I'm going to facilitate really lightly today. At the end of the session, I'm going to pose a couple of questions to Jennifer, so do keep them coming in the Q&A, and I'm not going to take any more of her time, but cede the floor to her. Good luck, Jennifer. See you in a few minutes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, David, and to Dr. Elizabeth Knight for the introduction and for the invitation to talk today as it is National Careers Week, talking about regional and rural Australia, contextualised career development support. Please excuse my voice. It is a little bit on the weird side at the moment, but what we are going to be talking about today is looking at career development support and about the research, the project that I'm currently involved in with the Southern Queensland and Northern New South Wales Innovation Hub, which is based out of the University of Southern Queensland, but also important because it's career development that I'm focusing on here. It's also connected in with the CDAA, the Career Development Association of Australia. So you can see I'm wearing a few hats today and I've got them all stuck over that front screen, but let's move on. Now, I do want to include an additional acknowledgement of country, as this is the one that we use within our Innovation Hub, and it's so relevant to what I'll be talking about today, as in that our Southern Queensland and Northern New South Wales Innovation Hub acknowledges the First Nations owners of the lands we are meeting on. We pay our respects to the elders past, present and future, for they hold the memories, culture and wisdoms that have been passed down for hundreds of generations. May we use this space to unite peoples in all walks of life and learn from one another on our journey toward growth, healing and reconciliation. Now, where we state there about this is a space to unite peoples in all walks of life, this is what I'm going to be talking about today, looking at wellbeing and employability, which is all tied in to providing career support, in this case for rural and regional Australia. I'm part of the SQNNSW, the Southern Queensland Northern New South Wales Innovation Hub, and that is funded by the Future Drought Fund, the federal government's Future Drought Fund. And what I wanted to highlight here today is that this is a map of the hub region. So this is one of many hubs that are around Australia. The one I'm with, this is the area that we cover. And you can see here that it reaches right out to Longreach out west, and it goes down into New South Wales as far south as Armidale and Narrabri. Now, the hub focuses on, it's got here that it supports producers in their communities in growing resilience and capacity in managing climate variability through innovation, collaboration, and building capacity and capability. So there is a lot of science, there's a lot of technology involved, there's a lot of business development involved, but there's also an area within this which is focused on communities and around their well-being and their employability, around the career support. And that's where I fit in. So just to give a quick overview, because this is all going to tie in with what I'm talking about very shortly, is that the different areas within our hub, you can see here between Armidale, Lismore, Stanthorpe, Narrabri, Longreach and Roma, there are many different areas that are focused on with production. So, it ranges from, you've got livestock, sugarcane, you have viticulture, you have cotton, broadacre grains, semi-arid grazing. There's all these different areas. And I just want to highlight here is that when we start to look further in as we go along today, is that every community is different. There are different things you have to consider, both from a social, an economic, a geographic area, a cultural area. And so career development is very individual. And that's really what I wanted to focus on today. So just to give a bit of an overview is that my role within the hub and my role currently at the University of Southern Queensland is as a research fellow, and it is focusing on wellbeing and employability because they work together. And also, I'm the current Queensland Division President for the CDAA, the Career Development Association of Australia. And so this is why today's research focus is going to be some of the findings I have already collected from community consultations in my role within the hub. But from a CDAA point of view, I'm wanting to highlight here the importance of that career support and what you can do if you are either working with people in regional and rural Australia or will be working with people, and this can be online, people who are living in these communities, what you need to consider in providing that career support. So really the main thing I want to focus on here, and I'll have this slide come up at the very end as well, is that it's all about understanding the community. And that is that each community is made up of many people that all have their own story. And that is something I know that all career practitioners realize, and this is what they do, is that you have those individual one-on-one career chats with clients. But this is about getting not just the clients or the potential clients, it's about getting the communities out there, the industries, the governments out there to realize that career is very individual. And it's about understanding what's happening in the communities and with the people that are within them. So employment, education, and overall career decision-making support in rural and regional Australia is crucial to the building of strong and sustainable local communities, economies, and well-being. So this is what is said in the role that I am in, to make sure that career decision-making is very much at the forefront of conversations around not just jobs, but the well-being side. So when we're talking about well-being, we're talking about physical and we're talking about mental well-being. So it's the psychological and it's the physical side of things with well-being. And what we want to have a look at today, so I've broken it down into 3 questions here, is what is career support and is it just for job seekers? So the questions I'm putting here, if you are a career practitioner, you'll be looking at these and going, yep, I know what this is. But think of this from the point of view of someone in the community, which could be someone within business, even within local government. If they want to ask this, or if you can see that you need to go through these questions, what is career support and is it just for job seekers? How is career and well-being related? And how can career decision-making be meaningful and linked to local development? So particularly with that one, when there's transitions happening within a community where new industries are coming in and maybe other industries are shutting down, how can you make sure that you know what's happening and what skills are needed out there and how they link in with what you want to do from a career? So why someone would seek out career support? Here are some of the things that I've had conversations with people about, and I'm sure many career practitioners would look at this and go, yes, this is where all the clients are. It's not just about current job seekers. We definitely, yes, have got career support there for people who are currently looking for work, and this can be people who it's their first time looking for work, they're straight out of school, they might be looking for a career change. but it's also about understanding how to find a job and apply for it. It's investigating study and career pathways. Now, I have there any age because it's not just about school leavers or school students. This could be somebody who is close to retirement, who is thinking about they want to keep going, working, but they know that maybe they need to look at picking up some more skills. That's where investigating study and career pathways needs to be considered for all ages. Seeking a career change, completely different industry sector, and we're going to look at that very shortly. Re-entering the workforce. So those that are in that midlife or have retired and for different reasons are wanting to re-enter the workforce. Again, everyone is individual. So you can't go, this is the way to do it. This is the information you have to give, and it works for everybody. So from a regional and rural perspective, every town is different. You can go to one town and then half an hour down the road, go into another small town, and they will have completely different reasons for why people are seeking a career change. You have to be very aware of that. And also seeking work experience or to volunteer. So picking up new skills and connections, opening new opportunities. Now, coming up in a moment, I'm going to be going through some of the findings from community consultations, which also include what's up here on the screen. But that volunteering is so important because there are many organisations, and I'll use for an example of one, the Country Women's Association. They're the backbone of so many small towns, yet they are screaming for membership. They're looking for new members all the time. And so this is where finding experience and connecting in with community, it's very much about understanding what's happening in an individual town and the people within it. So career development enables people to understand and develop their skills and experience. It strengthens their adaptability in planning career goals and manage challenges, identify opportunities, and make informed career decisions. And these are the three things that link in with what this word employability is. And I've put it here because, again, in my current role, you can talk about well-being, and everyone you speak to, they realize what you're talking about, you know, that physical, that psychological well-being. But when it comes to employability, that's something that can get very confusing because there's many different ways that people have looked at this. What I've put up here is based on Fagate's employability, a psychosocial construct, its dimensions and applications. And I've put the reference at the bottom there. It's about understanding who you are and what you offer. So when you're working with somebody, it's getting them to understand what their identity is, what it is that they have in skills and experience, what their values are, what their goals are. What is it that they could explain to somebody else who they are, both as a personal but as a professional identity? Then it's about knowing how to adapt to change. Now, the Drought Hub, the Innovation Hub, is all about the fact that it's about natural disasters. It's about helping communities build and grow from things such as a drought. But there's also floods. There's bushfires. You have to consider, how do you adapt to change? And know what opportunities are out there and how to connect. And that is knowing what the industry is, what industry sectors are in your area, what is potentially changing, what's going to be coming in the future of work. And that's where building your employability, it's having a strong sense of all those three areas, knowing who you are, knowing how to adapt to change, and being aware of what's happening out there in industry, and also the people to connect in with. So linking career and well-being, what I just wanted to highlight here was that the more control over your decision-making, so particularly here in career decision-making, will equal higher levels of self-confidence and greater motivation. So that's where this link of well-being and employability is that when people feel confident in who they are, they feel more confident in being able to adapt to change and being aware of what's happening around them, both in industry and the people that they can connect in with. It will make higher their levels of self-confidence, and they'll have greater motivation. So this is where it encourages more meaningful and fulfilling lives, both in general well-being and in work, whether it's paid or volunteer. And people derive meaning from various stages in their life. And I'm really putting that there to highlight the fact that it's across all ages. So coming into what I found from community consultations at the moment, it's first understanding your community. That's been probably one of the biggest things that have come back in feedback, is that people have wanted, and this is stakeholders that I've spoken to across all those different nodes in the hub, and they are from all walks of life, where they have said that, look, you need to understand that we are all different. Every town, every community is different, and that one option doesn't fit everybody. And so that's exactly what we're looking at here. To effectively meet the career and wellbeing needs of regional and rural communities, it's important to remember that each is unique and made up of people that each have a story. And you have to remember it's not just about job seekers, it's about people who are looking for career transitions, people who are maybe wanting to start up a new business. They want to know how to tap into what areas to focus on, volunteering, education, and also remembering personal commitments are all unique considerations for a person. And it's socio-economic, it's cultural, it's environmental, and geographic factors that an individual town or community must have considered. So again, whether you are living in a regional or rural area, or you're living within the cities, if you are working with anyone to provide career support and they are living in a regional area, it's making sure that you understand the region that they're living in. Get a bit of an idea of the town, the council area that they live within, what's happening in that area. Because if you just look from a broad perspective, going, okay, let's have a look at rural Australia, what you'll find there might not be exactly what's happening in one particular town with a client that you're working with. So it's all about contextualizing and having that holistic career development support. Now, here are some of the findings from community stakeholder consultations that I had within the Southern Queensland and Northern New South Wales areas. And it was asking about the impacts on work opportunities. So it was really getting community members to provide what are the concerns and needs that they see are most important in their region. So it wasn't their town, it was their region. So when you look at maybe the Southern Downs region in Queensland, you're looking at from Toowoomba out west, and that can cover Stanthorpe, it can cover Warwick, it goes right out west. So there's a lot of little towns in there. But when you look at it that way, it was still these points here that were the top things that people said, both within Queensland and New South Wales, that were concerns and needs. All of these can impact on somebody when they're looking for work or wanting to start up a business, or just from a general well-being. Career support-wise, being aware of what these are. So the concerns were an aging population. Now, a lot of these, of course, they're national, and you will find these in a lot of city areas as well. But thinking of it from what came through with the feedback, an aging population, it was healthcare needs. Now, what I really wanted to highlight here, yes, healthcare is a big issue nationwide, wherever you are. And they are needing workers, which is what the aging workforce is next there. But from healthcare needs, one of the big things to consider here is as people are getting older in communities, a lot of people are finding that when their spouse, for example, needs to go into aged care, if there isn't an aged care facility within that town, within that community, that person is needing to move to a large town or even a city. What happens to their partner? This is where this actually is a big concern from a well-being point of view, because a lot of times that partner will move with them, and all of a sudden you've lost two people from the community, and there's a great possibility that they may not return to that community. And with that, these healthcare needs are where a lot of families are wanting to keep their families together in the town. And so healthcare needs is a huge issue in regional Australia, not just from the point of view of the healthcare needs of the person needing it, but also having those healthcare needs within the community so that they can stay within the community because that's where their family are. And that's a big concern. And it's another reason why in a moment you'll see that healthcare is actually one of the top areas for jobs that are being advertised in a lot of these regional areas right now. Now, from an aging workforce, needing more workers. So as people are retiring, not everyone is staying within the community. They're moving out. And again, this is where we're needing to encourage more people into the regions. But this is where the third point comes up. Housing shortages and homelessness is another big issue here. And this is occurring in a lot of towns and communities. There's also limited entry-level job opportunities in a lot of industry sectors, a lot of the new industry sectors. So this is something to look at where there are skills that can be built, where there's training that could be built. There's also closing down of many industry sectors. Now, I know at the moment there's a lot of focus on zero carbon industry and other industries being shut down, but also you've got to think about towns that relied on abattoirs at one point. That's an industry sector that has been disappearing from a lot of communities, which leaves a lot of people then looking for new jobs. Natural disasters and recoveries are another one, and mental health and loneliness is a huge area as well. All of these you have to consider because some towns will have some of these being the top ones to consider. Other towns, it might be natural disasters is the main priority right now. So consider who may be also missing out on career support in your community. So when you think about this, unpaid carers are a big one you must consider in all towns. They are the people who are looking after their loved ones. So again, what I mentioned before about aged care, there's a lot of families that are wanting to keep everyone together, and they're actually the carers as well. They are going to be needing work, and it might be some part-time work that they want, but they need that career support, and they could be under the radar that you're not aware of. Farming families that are seeking additional work, long-term unemployed or the underemployed, digital illiteracy, so people that might not have any availability of tech, but they're needing it. This is something that a lot of communities are now focusing on. Older workers close to or over retirement age, and also itinerant workers. So those that are traveling through, that can be looking at backpackers, but also looking at what you call the grey nomads. So just finishing up here, and I know I'm sort of pushing through quite a bit for today's presentation, but I wanted to highlight here a lot of what I do is looking at demographics, but then looking at the narrative. So the information, the stories that are coming through from communities. Here is just an example, and I've got a couple more, but I'm using a local one in Toowoomba and the southwest Queensland. So I'm from the University of Southern Queensland. It is based out of Toowoomba, but you can see here southwest Queensland takes up a huge chunk of outback Queensland. At the moment, the top industries are agriculture, healthcare, and social assistance. They're the top three, and they're straight from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. Now, what I've also done is gone to the National Skills Commission, looked at their monthly Internet Vacancy Index, and this is all the jobs that are advertised online. At the moment, that's how many that are being advertised for that region. And there's the top of the list. And you can see there, it's medical practitioners. It's got the personal carers and aides. But you've also got automotive mechanics. That is number 2 at the moment. And this is jobs that are being advertised and particularly have been advertised, and there hasn't been any takers yet. So have a look at that list and you'll get a bit of an idea of the type of jobs that are out there. A lot of these are connected to agriculture. So I haven't mentioned the industries. This is just the actual occupations, the jobs. And so this is where you could drill down on towns and go, okay, which towns are looking for particular jobs? But you can see their personal care is big one. Very quickly, Riverina and Murray I've used here solely because they've had a lot of flooding going on there from last year into this year. You can see all their top industries, but you can also see their medical practitioners and number one with the jobs they're looking for at the moment. Personal care is there, and automotive workers. There's a lot of automotive mechanic and worker jobs out there at the moment in the regions. And the other one, Goldfields in southern Western Australia. I've used this one just to get across to the other side of the country. It's a big area. It covers a lot. You can see they're the top industries, but again, look at the jobs. And personal carers are in there still. And for a change, there's no motor mechanics, but they do have technicians and trade workers. It is a very heavily mine area, but it also has tourism, and it does cover the coast as well there. So really, I just wanted to highlight here, make sure that you really look at understanding the community. It's about each community is made up of many people and all have their own stories. And that's what regional and rural Australia is all about. So thank you. I know I've shoved a lot through there, but it was really more to give you an idea of this is what's been said by the community, and remembering career development support is so important, but it is very individual. So listen to the community.
Brilliant. Well, I think on behalf of all of us, Jennifer, thank you so much for such a nourishing, interesting and thought-provoking session. I know that people were really engaged all the way through. And I just wonder sort of what would you want us to take away as practitioners to engage your community? What's one message you can give us?
That's okay. Okay. Did you want me to just stop sharing the screen?
No, we're beautiful.
Okay, I will keep it up there. I know, because everyone's enjoying just that image of the vista. I would say the big takeaway here is that for everyone who's attending that is a career professional, I know that you would have thought, yes, this is exactly what it's all about with career development. But I would say today it's more about looking at this as what you have probably already had to explain to others. And that's where it can be a client, it can be a colleague that you're working with if you're working within an industry sector, talking with stakeholders. So whether they're community leaders or industry leaders, and definitely with government, particularly local council when you're looking at the towns, but of course state. And if you can get up to federal, good on you. Keep going with the conversation. It really is getting them to understand what career development is all about. And so that employability breakdown before, make sure that it's very clear that within a town, to help a town, it's about helping the individuals. And to help the individuals, help them to understand who they are, feel confident in who they are and what they can do, to be adaptable and to be aware of what opportunities are out there, both in jobs and the people that you can meet. And that's what career development is all about and why it's so important.
That's brilliant. That's a wonderful message about place-based solutions and the place of career development. I think, and David will tell me if not, but I think we've got time for one more question. And Claire in the chat has asked, how does remote work change these dynamics? And what do you think the possibilities and, barriers that poses for regional and rural Australia?
As in remote work for the clients that you're working with?
I presume so, yeah.
I would say if you're working with a client who, or if you are someone who's thinking about this, where you're working in regional or rural areas of Australia and you are doing remote work, I think the wellbeing side of things, you need to stay connected to your community. Mm-hmm. because I do know of people who are working remotely that live in regional and rural areas of Australia where they have become a shut-in because they're indoors, they're online. And just look at that vista. Remember to go out and, smell the roses, take in what's around you. So I would say from a remote point of view, well-being, stay connected in with your community, both your town, but also the community that you're building online. But career-wise, it is about that well-being. I think the main thing to say here is that if your well-being is not good, then you're not in a position to be successful in your job.
Well, thanks so much, Jennifer. What a beautiful sentiment to finish on, the importance of well-being. Thank you so much for this lovely snapshot, and we hope to see the whole movie as it develops.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sika, for the invitation, and happy National Careers Week, everybody.
Great.